It was supposed to be a normal night, a simple meetup between two friends just to hang out, unwind, and enjoy the quiet of the city after hours. The streets of Latvia, usually buzzing with life even past midnight, felt strangely empty that night. I remember checking the time, it was 1 a.m., and brushing off the silence as nothing more than a sleepy city finally taking a break. My friend and I headed to a local park, speaker in hand, playing silly sounds and laughing like kids. But what started as fun quickly turned into something we could never forget. While walking further into the park, we noticed a group of people standing still, their presence off and unsettling. As we got closer, we saw them clearly: bald heads, bomber jackets, heavy black boots. The kind of people you don't want to cross paths with, especially in the dark. My heart sank. I'm black, and the way they looked at me, I just knew we had to leave. I told my friend to run, but before we could, a voice called out from the darkness, low and firm. "Hey kid, come over here." And then, they started chasing us. We barely made it to a nearby cafe, thinking we'd be safe inside, but it was empty too. No workers, no guests, just silence and our heavy breathing. And then, they came in. What happened next still haunts me. But what if I told you this isn't the only time I came face to face with fear? Back when I was 4, something even more terrifying happened. A night soaked in rain, a dark stairwell, and the face of what I believe was the angel of death. This is just the beginning. Welcome to my home, Season 1, Part 1. Stay with me. The real horror starts now. I never really believed in the supernatural. Ghost stories were just stories, things people made up to scare each other during sleepovers or late-night walks. But after that night in the park, something changed in me. I didn't feel safe anymore, even in places that were supposed to be familiar. And the worst part? That wasn't even the beginning. Long before that terrifying chase, something happened when I was just 4 years old. I was in Quezon City, the Philippines, staying at my aunt's house with my mom and other relatives. It was a weekend tradition, family time, lots of food, laughter, the usual warmth you'd expect when cousins and aunts gather under one roof. That night, though, everything was different. It had been raining heavily, and the power was out. I remember waking up sweating, the air thick and still. The only sounds were the wind and the constant tap of rain hitting the rooftop. As my eyes adjusted to the dark, I noticed something strange. My mom, 2 aunts, and my uncle were crouched behind a wall near the stairs, whispering, frozen in fear. I was too young to understand what was going on, but I knew something was wrong. When I called out to my mom, she looked at me, eyes wide, and whispered for me to stay quiet. But I was curious. I moved closer, tried to peek around the wall, and that's when I saw her. Outside the large window near the stairwell, there was a woman, floating. Her face was pale, her hair short, her black robe hooded but open enough for me to see every detail. She wasn't walking, she wasn't standing. She was just there, watching, holding something long and sharp in one hand, a scythe. I didn't understand it then, but my mom later called her the angel of death. That image stayed with me, buried deep for years. But after what happened in the park, everything started to come back. The fear, the faces, the feeling of being watched. It was like both events were somehow connected. And now, something even stranger is happening. After all these years, I think, she's come back. But why? And why now? There are some doors that should never be opened. I think I just opened one. After that night, I couldn't sleep properly for days. Every small sound made me jump. I kept replaying the moment those skinhead men burst into the cafe, their twisted smiles, their cold grip, the blood on that man's hand. I told myself we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But deep down, it felt bigger than that. Like something wanted us there. Like we were being watched. Not just by people, but by something else entirely. My friend didn't want to talk about it anymore. He tried to act like it didn't affect him, but I could see it in his eyes. We weren't just scared. We were changed. A few days later, I started getting strange dreams. Not normal nightmares, but vivid, realistic dreams, like I was back in that old house in the Philippines. Same rain, same darkness, same stairwell, and every time she was there, the woman in black. She never moved, never spoke, just stared, watching me. I started doing research, trying to find if anyone else had seen something similar. That's when I came across a forum talking about encounters with what people called the Angel of Death. What freaked me out was how accurate the descriptions were. A pale woman, neck-length hair, black robe, and always holding a scythe. Some people claimed she only appears before something terrible happens. Others said she watches those who escape death, like she's waiting for a second chance. I started to wonder, did escaping those men somehow trigger something? Like we were supposed to be taken that night, but we weren't. And now, something wants to finish what was started. What's even more disturbing is what happened to my mom and my aunts. When I tried to talk to my mom about the woman in black years later, she got angry, shut me down immediately. Then she died suddenly. Heart attack, no warning. A month later, my aunt passed too. Same with the other one. It's like the people connected to that night started disappearing. I can't help but feel like I've seen something I wasn't supposed to see. Something ancient. Something real. And now I'm being followed again. Every time I walk past a mirror or a dark window, I feel it. She's near. But I don't know what she wants. Not yet. I started avoiding mirrors, closed the curtains every night, turned on every light before walking into a room, even during the day. It wasn't just paranoia. I knew she was close. That same feeling from when I was 4, the cold tension in the air, the silence that gets too heavy, the way shadows feel like they move even when you're still. I tried to act normal, went to work, talked to friends, but I stopped going out at night. My friend, the one who was with me in the park, started acting different too. He wasn't sleeping, kept checking over his shoulder. When we met again a week later, he told me something I didn't expect. He had seen her too. Not in a dream, but standing at the end of his hallway, just for a second. He blinked and she was gone, but he knew it was real. That's when it all clicked. This wasn't just some dark memory or leftover fear. We had somehow opened a door that night in the park. Whether it was something about those men, or the energy of the place, or the fear we felt, it pulled her back. I started digging into the park's history, and what I found wasn't on any official site. I had to go deep, scrolling through forums, old blogs, anything I could find. Turns out, that area had a disturbing past. During the Cold War, it was used as a hidden checkpoint, a place where people went missing. Locals say some never came back, and there were rumors of strange rituals performed in the surrounding woods, things that were never investigated properly. One night I went back there, alone. I know how that sounds, but I had to see if I was losing my mind or if this was real. I brought a flashlight, my phone fully charged, and wore a hoodie to hide my face. It was quiet, too quiet, not even the usual hum of traffic in the distance, the same silence from that night. I walked the same path we had taken before, past the benches, the fountain, the rusted swing set. Then I saw them, fresh boot prints in the dirt, the same heavy tread I remembered from those black boots. And I wasn't alone. I could hear footsteps, not matching mine. Slow, deliberate. I turned, and standing a few meters away was a figure. Not the men from that night. It was her. Pale face, black robe, hands hanging at her side. She wasn't holding anything this time, but her presence was enough to freeze me in place. Her head tilted, slowly, like she recognized me. Then I heard something else, branches breaking behind me. I turned fast, and for a second, I saw one of the men from that night. Same jacket, same shaved head, same wicked grin. Now it wasn't just her, they were back too. And they weren't just watching anymore, they were surrounding me. Something was about to happen. I just didn't know what. I stood frozen in the middle of the path, the air thick with silence, like even the night was holding its breath. She was still there, watching me, her pale face almost glowing in the dark. The skinhead from that night stepped forward, cracking his knuckles, his boots crunching against the gravel. I could feel something building inside me. Panic, yes, but also a strange pull, like whatever had started that night wasn't finished, like I was meant to be here. Then something happened that I wasn't ready for. From behind one of the trees, another figure stepped out, but it wasn't one of them. It was my friend. The same friend who had been with me the night we were chased. But he looked different. Pale, thinner, his eyes sunken in. He wasn't wearing what he had on earlier. He looked like he hadn't slept in days, like he'd been running from something. "Why are you here?" I whispered. He didn't answer. He just stared at me, his face filled with fear and confusion. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "They showed me things that haven't happened yet, but will." Before I could respond, he grabbed my arm, tight. "You have to leave. This place, it's not just haunted, it's cursed." We triggered something when we laughed that night, when we mocked the silence with that sound. We called her. I didn't understand. I wanted to run, but I also needed to know. "Who is she?" I asked. He hesitated, then looked behind me. "She was the first victim, and now she's collecting others." Suddenly the figures started closing in. Not just the men, but more shadows. Dozens. From the trees, from behind the benches, they began to appear. All silent. All moving like they had no weight. I could feel the cold now, not the kind that comes with the night, but the kind that settles in your bones. I looked at my friend again. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "I tried," he said. "But every time I remembered, I'd forget again, like something was erasing it, until now." And then he said something I'll never forget. "You saw her when you were a child, right? That wasn't a dream. She marked you." The ground beneath my feet felt like it was spinning. Everything made sense, and yet nothing did. All these years I thought I'd moved past that memory, but maybe I never had a choice. Maybe I'd been walking toward this moment my whole life. The figures stopped a few feet away. The woman in black raised her hand slowly, pointing at me, and then the world went completely silent. No wind, no sounds, no breath. And I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just about me. Something much bigger had begun, something that couldn't be stopped. Everything stopped. Time, sound, even my thoughts. It was like the world had been paused by something greater than anything I could ever understand. The woman in black kept her hand raised, her eyes locked with mine. I felt like she could see everything, every fear, every mistake, every part of my past that I'd tried to bury. My friend gripped my arm harder, whispering, "She's giving you a choice." I didn't understand. But then I saw it. Behind the woman, the shadows began to shift. They weren't just figures anymore. I could see their faces. People, victims. Some looked decades old, others more recent. All of them had the same blank, hollow stare. And standing among them, barely recognizable, was my aunt. And beside her, my mother. My knees almost buckled. My breath caught in my throat. I wanted to run to them, but I couldn't move. My mom didn't speak, but her expression said enough. She wasn't angry. She looked sad, as if she knew this moment was always going to come. Suddenly, the woman in black dropped her hand, and the silence shattered. The wind howled through the trees. The shadows surged forward, but instead of attacking, they passed through me. Cold, electric, almost like my body was being scanned. Flashes of memories I'd forgotten raced through my mind. Her face at the window when I was 4. My mom crying the next morning, a voice whispering in my ear as I slept, "It's not your time." And just like that, the shadows vanished. My friend dropped to his knees, gasping for air. The woman in black lowered her hood, revealing a face that was heartbreakingly familiar. It was my mother, only younger. That was the twist. She hadn't been taken. She had become something else. She stepped closer and whispered, "I've been protecting you, but the protection ends now." And with that, she turned and walked into the darkness. I was left standing there, alone again, safe, for now. But with the knowledge that I wasn't just someone who escaped death, I was part of something much deeper, something still unfinished, and it had only just begun. The park felt different now, quieter, still. The weight that had filled the air just moments ago was gone, but the feeling inside me stayed. My legs finally moved, shaky and slow, and my friend and I walked in silence toward the exit. Neither of us said anything. There wasn't much to say. How do you explain seeing your dead mother in the face of something not quite human, not quite spirit? We got back to the street, and the lights that had flickered all night were steady again. Cars passed by, the distant sound of music from a late-night diner floated through the air, and for a moment, everything felt normal. But I knew better now. I knew there was a world behind this one, moving silently in the background, and we had brushed against it. Back home, I sat alone for a long time. I kept replaying her words. "I've been protecting you, but the protection ends now." It felt like a warning, but also something deeper. Maybe love, in a strange, painful form. My mom had always been quiet about the past. Now I understood why. She wasn't keeping secrets out of fear. She was keeping me safe. A few days later, I visited the attic where she kept old photo albums. I found one from the 80s. She looked young, happy, standing near the same park. Next to her was the same woman I saw in the shadows that night. I didn't know who she was, but something told me she had been the first. The beginning of this story. The nightmares haven't stopped since that night, but they're different now. Less terrifying, more like puzzles I'm trying to piece together. I wake up with whispers in my ears, names I've never heard, places I've never been. One thing is clear, though. Something didn't end that night. Something started, and I'm beginning to realize that I wasn't just part of a horror story. I might be part of its future. If you're listening to this, it means you're curious like I was. Just remember, some places hold memories stronger than time, and some doors once opened can never truly be closed. Welcome to my home.